I will have to ask you all to please excuse the noise in the background. I cannot find the remote for my air condition. At the same time, I will not be sweating in my video, so that's a plus for everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about books that I DNF'd in 2016. I have 3 books in particular. I DNF'd a few more, but those are books that I just feel like I want to get to a different time. But these 3 books, I DNF books fairly liberally. I mean, if I'm not feeling a book right now, or if I don't like a book, I'm not going to force myself to finish it for the sake of reviewing it. I used to try to do that, but it just kind of used to slow me down and put me in reading slumps. And I think with BookTube, there's this like overwhelming pressure to finish books so that you could have enough books to include in your wrap-up or to have reviews for. And with me, I'm just like, nope, if I don't like a book, I am not going to finish it. Of course, there are some books that I don't like that I do finish, and that's usually because there's some aspect of it that keeps me reading. But then there are other books that are just like, no, the entire thing is completely unengaging and boring, and I do not finish it at all. So I want to talk about 3 books with you all today, the first of which is Zahra the Windseeker by Nnedi Okorafor Mbachu. She publishes with Mbachu, I believe, for her young adult books. She has been quite talked about in BookTube recently, especially with books like Binti and Lagoon. This one is a YA novel, and it follows a girl named Zahra, and she lives in a completely different world from us. In this world, vegetation grows rampant, and you can't cut it down, and you have to harvest it and build houses with plants because, you know, humans can't cut down forests and stuff to build their societies like we do in modern time, or rather in our world. I was really enjoying the story of this book, but the main issue I had with it was that I found that Nnedi was telling and not showing quite a lot. I mean, you don't introduce this kind of complex, new, weird type of world without really giving us, you know, like a vivid description of it, and I felt like I had to rely on the pretty cover art as well as like just my idea of what a world like that would look like in order to really immerse myself in this book. And I think I might actually go back to it because the story was pretty interesting, and I always wanted to read Nnedi Okorafor. I know that she's very, like, some people like her a lot, some people don't. Hopefully if I go back to this or if I check out one of her other books, I will enjoy it a lot more. Another book I DNF'd this year was The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. This is obviously the first book in his Chaos Walking trilogy, which is about a boy who lives in this on this like alternate planet where women no longer exist and all of the men can hear each other's thoughts. It's a very cool concept, I would say, but I had to stop like after the 100 and something page mark because I was just absolutely not enjoying this book. Every single aspect of this book was really flat and underdeveloped for me. The world was completely bland, and I understand that this is more of a barren planet, so it's not going to be, you know, elaborate in any way, but I felt like Patrick Ness didn't give us an effort to induce any feelings of that type of atmosphere or any visuals. You know, he's just like, you know, that's how it is, picture it on your own, and I didn't particularly like that. The writing in this book was pretty interesting. It's written in a Western style dialect, which I liked and appreciated. That wasn't the problem, but something else about the writing for some reason just did not really pull me in, and I wasn't able to get myself enthralled in it, and I found that I was skimming quite a lot, and the fact that it's written in a different dialect made it even more hard for me to skim, so I just was not able to pick up like at least 30% of what was going on. And in addition to all of that, I found the characters to be really stereotypical and not special in any type of way, so I did not particularly care much for it. And the last book that I DNF'd was Serafina by Rachel Hartman, which is a fantasy novel about a girl who lives in this like Victorian style London where dragons exist, and I think she's half human, half dragon, or something like that. I can't particularly place what my issue was on this book. I found that Hartman's writing was very flowery at times. There was some dream sequences that I could not like understand because it was just too complicated for my brain to interpret. And in addition to that, I also found that she really threw us into this world without any context. So, you know, when you're reading like a fantasy story and authors that just throw things at you like names of places and creatures without really like kind of explaining what they are. And you might realize from this video that I'm not particularly big on SFF anymore. You have to come really good if you're writing a fantasy or science fiction novel for me to be impressed, and I just wasn't by any of these books. And I've also been in a sort of like young adult slump, so maybe that's why as well. I don't mind trying Zahra the Windseeker again, because obviously I really want to try more of Nnedi Okorafor, as well as The Knife of Letting Go, because I've always wanted to read Patrick Ness, and it was kind of disappointing that the first time I ever picked up a book by him, I wasn't liking it. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I'm sorry if it was a bit short or, like, not substantial as they usually are, but I just finished like a whole week of exams, and my brain is like in fat mode right now, so I don't even know what I'm doing. I still have one more exam next week, and then I will be free for 5 weeks, which I am just living for right now. If you DNF'd any books this year, or if you've read any of these books, or if you DNF them as well, I would love to know your thoughts. Anyways, I think I'm going to go sleep. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you all have a lovely day, and until next time, inshallah, keep reading.